So we were doing the reducers last time. We did one reducer called as my reducer, and it has the state with default option as email null, display name null, photo URL null, UID null, profile UID null, provider ID null, and the action. And we pass the action dot type, and we pass two cases. One is a logged in case, and one is a logged out case. When I pass the logged in case, I make the state with the values which I'm getting from the Firebase. And when I pass the logged out state, I make everything null so that nothing is stored. Now, what is the purpose of my reducer? It is to save the state, and state will be used from one component to another component. And since this is a single page application, so we need to keep the variables from one component to another component. In PHP, we don't need to keep the variable from one page to another page because every page is a new page. And then also we use the session sometime, but most of the time we have the local variables. But here, since we move from one component to another component, we need to keep the variables. So we need the state. Now, in Redux, we need one index file where we put some details. I haven't put here now anything about the Redux. I will put soon. And we need to create the store. And yesterday I showed you how to create the store. Right now we have only one reducer. When we add more reducer, we will add more reducer here also. And we will pass each reducer here. You will see in some time. I will add more reducers and I will be adding in the store. You don't need to remember the store code. Just remember that whenever you add new reducer, you need to add it here. Now, next thing which is important in the Redux is the action. So we need to build the action. So let's go here in the actions and create one action. I will name it as my action.js. So if you have 10 reducers, you should have 10 actions. So all actions and reducers are linked together. And whatever case you have here, each case should have something in the action. So let's say we have two cases here, logged in and logged out. So at least I need two functions in the action, my action.js. One for the logged in, one for the logout. The reducer and action are tied together. If you have 10 switch statement, you should have 10 action functions here. So something like that we have to build. Sometimes there is difference. Reducer may have 11 or 12, but action should have 10. That is the exceptional case, which I will tell you later, in which case you have more case in the reducers and less function in the actions. That is the exceptional case, which I will tell you later. Now, since we have two cases, one is a logged in and one is a logged out, I will create two functions as follows. I will export both the functions, and both the functions will be constant, and both the functions will be arrow function. I will name the first function as logged in. I can name anything. Right now I'm putting logged in, or I can keep logged capital in. Whatever I feel, I can do that. Is equal to, pardon? Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. I thought you said something. Okay, so I will create a function called as logged in, and it will be arrow function like this. And then I will create another function logged out equal to arrow function. Let's say if I'm doing math reducer and I need math action, in that case I will be creating more functions like this: export constant add equal to arrow function. I will say export constant subtract equal to Another arrow function, I will say export constant multiply equal to curly bracket. I will say export constant division equal to arrow function. So this is something which if we do mathematics reducer, similarly we create 4 functions here, but right now we are concerned with only 2 because we have 2 state. One is the logged in and one is the logged out. Now what we have to put in this each of the function. So if I'm logged in, I need some object. So I will pass this object as a params. I can name anything, obj or result or record, whatever I feel I pass. I will say params. Just a name I give params. I can change the name. And inside it, inside the action, I have to return an object. I have to return object. And this object should have a type. First part of the object should have a type. And type should be action.type, which we are getting it. So type should be same as a case statement. So here it will be logged in. So first case will be the logged in. And then I need to pass different key value pairs which I expect in the reducer. So for example, if I expect action.email, so here I will create email. It will be having params.email. And I'm expecting action.displayName. So I'll be creating display name with params.displayName. So this email information and display name will come here in the params. Next, I am expecting photo URL. So here I will create photo URL is equal to params.photo URL. Then I expect UID. So here I will say UID is equal to params.UID. Then I expect profile UID. So here I will say profile UID is equal to params.UID. Then I expect provider ID. So here I will say provider ID is equal to params.provider ID. This is about logged in. So you try to create myaction.js and put this function inside that. I gave in the chat also. Okay. So action and reducers are same. Means it should have same kind of variables in both case, but the logic is different in both the files. And always when we create action, most of the time it will be like this. There are few exceptions where we will be doing the AJAX call, then we need to do some more stuff in the action. But right now, most of the actions will be like this. Now, let's create the logged out action. I will return object, and it will have type of same what I have get it here. It's a logged out. So I will say type of logged out. And then I don't need any other thing because I am making everything as a null. So I don't need any more parameter. I only need the action.type, which will be the logged out, and it will follow this state. It will make everything null. So we don't need any other parameter. So we only need type equal to logged out. That's it. So just make the function for logged out also. I gave in the chat.
Regular contracts and quasi contract would be way at the end because it's not a contract. But what they're saying is with
Is it done, Kate?
Yes, done.
Tony, is it done?
Yes.
Okay. So before I go further, let's say if we want to create another action, I want you to do one sample here. So I will be doing the add one, and Kate will do subtract, and Tony will do multiply. So let's say for the add, I will pass two number 1 and number 2. And here inside the number add action, I will say return object, and I will say type equal to add, since we are adding it. Right now I don't have the reducer for this mathematical functions, but I just want to know how you will build the action. I am doing sample for add, you do subtract and multiply, and then I will say number 1 equal to num1. This is something I am changing it, number 1. Maybe number 1 is in the reducer, so I'm making number 1, or I can keep num1 same. It's up to me. I can change also, I can keep it same. So I'll say num2 equal to num2. So this will be the action for the add one. Now Kate, you do the action for the subtract one.
Yes.
What will be the parameter?
Subtract num1, num2, and return. Return type should be subtract.
Yeah, type subtract or sub is
sub number 1 column num1, number num2 column num2.
Yeah, So you will see both have similar structure because we want two numbers and only the type is the difference. Tony, you do this one. What should I pass in the parameter?
num1, comma num2.
And then inside it,
Return
return object
type of multiply. And num1 colon num1, comma num2 colon num2.
So you will see that since the structure for this add needs number 1 and number 2, so I passed number 1, number 2, and I'm passing number 1, number 2. This number 1, number 2 will go to the reducer in the form of action dot number 1 and action dot number 2, and I will manipulate it here. And since all 4 methods have the similar kind of structure, the only difference will be the type, rest all will be the same. So I will talk more about this when we will do the food donation one. Right now we are doing only the logged in. When we will do food donation, I will ask you more about actions when we reach to that point. So just remember that here we have to build the structure as per we want it in the reducers. So in reducer, I want the action.type. I am passing action.type. In reducer, I want this parameters. So I am passing this parameter here. For the logged out state, I only need the action.type for the logged out. So I am passing type equal to logged out. But in all the cases, I am making it empty. So I don't need any other parameter. So you have to go as logical as possible in your application. Now we will build the index.js so that we can see this thing in the real action. So I will now put some code in the index.js, which will be only one time. You don't have to remember, you just have to follow what I am doing, and you have to follow this in every project. You don't have to remember it. It's something you have to, you have to think that this has to come in the index.js. So to make the Redux work properly, I need to use the provider. So I will import provider. What is provider? Don't worry about it now. Think something, it is the Redux functionality. To use the Redux in the React, we need provider in the index.js. So I will import it from React-Redux. So this React-Redux is something module which we installed using the npm, and from that module I am getting provider. So this is the first statement which I will put after the register service worker. Next line will be this provider. I will give you the chat. Do it after some time. Let me complete all the steps. Second thing, I will import store from ./store.js. So this is the second line. I am importing the store which I built it here. So I want that store here in the index.js. So I'll give you that in the chat also. So this is my store. Now, next thing which I want to do is, here I have app. Here I have app. So instead of app, I need to wrap the app with some parameter. So I will put enter to make it little clear. So I have to wrap the app with provider, and I will say store equal to curly bracket store. So the curly bracket store means I am taking this variable. This is the variable, and this variable go in the curly bracket format. And this store is something parameter needed in the provider. So this is something required by the provider, and this store is something which is this store. I can change this to store 1, then I can change this store to 1, but this store will remain same. If I keep this as X, I have to change this as X, but this store will remain same. So right now we have a store only. To make it easy understandable in the future, I will name it as store only, and I will pass as a store. So I'm passing this store, and I'm passing this here as a store. Now I will close this angular bracket, and then I will, in the end of the app, I will close the provider. So what we are doing, we are getting some module from the React Redux. This React Redux will join the Redux to the React part, and this provider is wrapped around the app. So now my app is wrapped around the provider, and provider is the Redux functionality. So this is all you have to do. So first type this import I gave you in the chat, then give this import I gave you in the chat, and then wrap the app with provider. I'm giving this in the chat. Add this 3 part in the index.js.
We are recording. Okay. Good afternoon and welcome to the last installment of the exam focus system for the Baby Bar for the October 2017 exam. As always, I'm Professor Lee. Okay, let me give you a few concepts before we move in to the page.
Okay, Tony done.
Yes, done.
Done. Okay. Okay. So now let's run the file and see if we are getting any error. So we are getting some error. Let's see how to fix it. My reducer return undefined during initialization. Okay. So we got this error. Now I want to know. Let's try to debug and fix it. Why it's giving the error? So it's saying my reducer return undefined during initialization. So let's check the my reducer. And if I go in the store, I will check it's the reducers and my reducer.js. Okay, if the state passed to reducer undefined, you must explicitly return the initial state. Initial state might not be defined. If you want to use the state, you must use null instead of undefined. Okay. And it's saying my reducer. And here is the my reducer. Okay, let's see. Okay, we need this arrow function. So maybe this may be the reason. Okay, so now we get another error. Unexpected semicolon at the line number 3 in the my reducer. I have display name. Okay, this comma is correct. And oh no, it will be equal sign. Sorry, equal is fine. Equal is fine. But my reducer, it will be Okay, this part is not good. Yeah, it's correct actually. This is the parameter, and this we are getting this arrow function. This is correct. Let's see. Equal to curly bracket, and we get this one. Okay, this looks correct, but why it's giving error? So let's do one thing. I will take this object in the separate variable, and then I will pass that one. So let's make this another variable. Initial state is equal to an object, and let me pass this initial object instead of this object. So I'm saying state is equal to initial state, and then I'm passing action. Let's check this one. Okay, now it's giving same error. My reducer is empty. Okay, give me 2 minutes. Let me debug it and see where exactly is the problem. So I have promise, I have import my reducer from and going into the store, and it goes to the reducers, and then it goes to the my reducer. I'm assigning to the my reducer here. And if I open my reducer, I have the my reducer here, and I'm exporting the reducer. This looks correct. Okay, so I have to return the state. Actually, return state. Let me see that how it goes. Okay, so maybe I did not told you yesterday. So whenever we have, I will revert all what I did. Maybe I will keep whatever it was before. So this is the same thing which we have before. Only I need to return state in the end. So always remember, whenever we create a reducer, in the end, we need to return the state. So whatever state is going inside this, it will manipulate the state here, and it will return the new state here. So we need to put the state here. You also put the state here in the end before the curly bracket, last curly bracket. And then if you run the file, it's working fine. Let's see if we get any console.log error. Okay, so it's saying this is a warning. It's saying Firebase is defined, not used. Database is defined, not used. This is defined, not used. So we don't need to worry about which is a warning. It will go away after we use this functionality. You should not get error, but warning is fine for now.
Can I see the code again?
Yeah. The only thing I put the return state.
Return. Can I see the? So we don't need to initial state.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, it is same. I did not change it. I initially put the initial state to see whether it is the problem there or no, but it was not the problem. It's the return state was the problem. So keep the state same. Just put the return state here and see. Okay, done. Okay, let's go further. Done only one. Yeah, warning will come. Warning will go away when we will use the Firebase in our index.js. We are calling this Firebase app and database, but we are not using the database here. So because of that, warning is coming. And we are also using this Firebase and not using it. So the warning is coming. So we will clean up the warnings in some time. So now let's try to make use of the two things which we build. We build myreducer.js and we build myaction.js. Let's try to use these two things. So if I go to my index.js, I see this is the if part for the logged in and this is the part for the logged out. So if I want to pass this logged in part, I will be putting somewhere here. And if I want to call this logged out part, I need to put somewhere in this else condition. So since we need to pass these two functions in my index.js, so I need to call these two functions. I need to import these two functions in the index.js. So let's try to import those. So here I will say import. You can put import statement anywhere in the top. It's not that you should put store in the top before this. You can put anything before anything. It's not required that it should be in particular order. So here I will put the curly bracket and I will import this logged in, comma. I will also import the logged out, comma, logged out. From which file I'm importing? I'm importing inside the actions, my action.js file. So just first import this line and see if you're getting error or only warnings is coming. Okay, I am getting error on line 7 at my action.js. Let's see what is the problem with that. So line 7 number, it's param. Actually, it should be params. Let's see now if I'm getting an error. Now I'm not getting any error, though I'm getting this warning which will go away soon.
Yes, that
So are you getting only warning or any error?
warning.
Yeah, warning is fine.
I'm getting an error. What I didn't see after you copied and pasted that you made a change. What did you change?
I changed the params. Actually, it was param, so it was giving error. So I made it params and error went away.
Unlogged in my reducers.
In my actions, in my action.js.
Alright, my action. Rams.
Okay. So
All right, I'm good.
Okay. So now what I did, I call these two functions in the myaction.js in the index.js from the myaction.js. See, this is the first time we are doing, so the steps are a little bigger because I am slowly explaining you what things are to be done. But after some time, it will be so fast, so quick that you don't have to think too much. It will be very smooth action. Right now, since I'm explaining you, it takes little time to go through all the steps. But later on, it will be fast. You will remember many things because everything is again and again we are doing. Okay, so I call the action from here, myaction.js. Now what I will do, I need to, now how the Redux work, let me explain you a little bit about that one. So we have action. Okay, so first step is we have to dispatch the action. We have to dispatch the action. When we dispatch the action, it will go to reducers, and reducers will go to store. This is the path which it will go. And once the store is updated, once it is updated, it will update all our components. So let's say you dispatch one action, which is the action logged in. Then it will go to the reducer. So in the reducer, it will go here. And it will update all the variables. And once it is update variables to the state will be returned. When the state is returned, it will go and save the state in the store. And when the new state is saved in the store, we will get new variables in our all components. Components means app.js and all. So if I go to source, sorry, this is not the one. So this, all the variables here in the app and all the, right now I haven't created the variable, but once I create variables, it will update all our components. So this is the idea. Now we will be able to see it in the console.log, how the things are updating it. So I will show you that. Now what I will do in the index.js, whenever the user is logged in, okay, I have this console.log object2 equal to obj. Whenever the user is logged in, I will call this action. I will dispatch this action logged in. So how to dispatch the action? So remember how to dispatch the action. I will write down here so there are a couple of ways to dispatch the action. In the index.js, there is one way, and in the components, there is another way. Since we are in the index.js, we will use this way, a third one, to dispatch. So see how to dispatch something in the index.js. So here we have the store object. So we will use store.dispatch. Dispatch is a function inside the store, and I will put the round bracket. And inside the dispatch, I will call the function which I want to dispatch. I want to dispatch this logged in. So I will say logged in, and in the bracket, what it expects, params. So what will be the params in my case here? I want to pass obj, because all the values which we have in the action, that is in the params, all these key value pair we have in the obj. So what I am doing store.dispatch logged in, and I pass the object. Same thing I will do with the logged out. I will pass store.dispatch. Instead of logged in, I will pass the logged out. And I don't need variable inside the logged out because we don't have any variable for the logged out. So that's it. So we need to put this line for the logged in part, and we need to use this one in the logged out part. So just if you put this, then you will be, I will show you what is happening in the UI.
So for the logged out, we don't need to put the obj parameter in.
Right, because logged out does not need any parameter.
Okay. It's done.
Okay, now let's go in the page and I will refresh and I will explain you what's happening. Okay, let me refresh it again. Okay, so this is the warning. Right now, ignore the warning. We have to concentrate on this part. This is the part which we have to concentrate. In this part, first thing you will see user is null. That means user is not logged in. So it is user is logged out. Since user is logged out, we are going inside this part. User is logged out and it's saying user is logged out and the user information is null. So we are inside here. Now this is the part we need to study our case statement. So if you see, we have the previous state. In the previous state, we see the MyReducer function. Let's go to the MyReducer function. Previous state means something which we have original. Original means all the variables will be like this. So if I go to the MyReducer, display name is null, email is null, photo URL null, profile UID is null, provider UID null. After the previous state, we have the action. Since it is a logged out, what action we are passing? This or this?
Second one.
Yeah, second one. This logged out action we are passing. And logged out action is this logged out type. So we will see the action is going as a type logged out. The one which we have here. And then third one is the final state. So after I pass logged out, it goes to the reducer and it will update the variable based on the logged out. So if I'm in the logged out, nothing is changed. All remains same. So in the final stage, next stage, you will see all the variables still null. Because for the logged out, we don't update the variables. We make it null. So since this is the initial state, logged out state, all the variables will be null. Now I will show you what happens when I logged in. So now I will log in through Google. Okay, now I logged in. This is the object, this is the user, and here I'm saying user is logged in, and I get object 2 with all the information. Now if I go to the previous state is something the previous state, that is the original state, and it will be having all the variables null because we initially defined all the states to be null. So in the previous state of this this console.log, in the logged in part is null because this is the previous state. And after I pass the action, when I pass the action, what action I'm passing? I'm passing type equal to logged in, display name, email, photo URL, profile UID, provider UID, type, and UID. So this is the action I'm passing, which we can see here. This is the action I'm passing. And this is the same action we get here. And then once I pass this action, it will go to the reducer's logged in part and it will update all the variables like this. So if I go to the next state now, in the next state I have the MyReducer, and inside the MyReducer I have all the variables updated. These variables are in the state. These variables are in the state, and I can use this variable anywhere in any component of my React application. So it's not only in the index.js, I can call this in any of the component. How to call it? There is a particular way that I will explain you next time. But at least once we can see it here, I can call this MyReducer in any of the component and I can get the information which I have here. So what we are doing, we are saving this in the state, in the reducer, By passing the action of this logged in, it passed all the information to the reducer, and reducer will take all the information, save it in the state, and return the state. State will go to the store.js and save here. And once it's saved here, it will update all the components, and we are able to see in the console.log. So now, once you are done with this step, just check the things which I did. First, you do logout and then refresh it. So you will see user is null, user is logged out. Previous state and next state will be same because user is logged out. Now, if you log in, you will see previous state will be the null, but the next state will be having all the information key value pair. And then, since this is single page application, whenever I go to another component or another page, I can access all this information. Now, even if I refresh, it will go to the logged in state and it will trigger logged in action, and I will be getting the next state with all the users information. Now you try to see if you are getting next state with all information or not.
So the process is kind of you get the state and you save it in the store, and you update the state and it is updated in the store, and all of the components get the variables from store.
Right, true. That is the procedure, that is the idea. So whenever we want to say something, because this is single page application, whatever we do, we need to store some variables. Now, where will we store the variables? We will store the variables in the state. How we will store the variable in the state? By putting in the reducer. And how will we get in the reducer? By action. And how we will get in the action? By index or any component. We pass this kind of dispatch, which will call the action. Action will call reducer. Reducer will call store, and store will again update the variables in all the components.
So that's why the store will have import middleware.
No, middleware still we haven't used it.
We haven't used it.
Yeah, we will do when we do Ajax. But right now this middleware is doing nothing. Right now I'm calling this middleware, but it is not doing anything. It is only putting create logger, and this logger is something which we are able to see this three state. This previous state, action, and next state, we are able to see this three part because of this create logger part. If I remove this create logger, you won't be able to see this console.log.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Because of this create logger, we are able to see this three previous state, action, and next state. So let's say if I remove this, let me remove this. And then I will refresh the page. So you won't see the next state, previous state, and the action. But if I add this create logger, you will be able to see that one. You will be able to see this one.
I can see the steps.
Right. So now I will ask you some questions now. Let's say I'm building the food donation create page. I'm creating the post, the one which I have here, this create one. So let's say I fill all the information here. And I click it's not search, it should be create. Let's change that one to create. Where is my create? I copied it, so it was search. I'll say create new post. So it's saying create new post. So when I click create new post, I need to save this in the server. That is a separate thing which I'm not talking about now. But let's say I need to save this information in the store in the state. So I will create one reducer called as food reducer.js. Similarly, I will create action. I will say food action.js. And then I will create here reducer, which I will tell you tomorrow, not today, something blah, 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 similar to this one. And I will create some functions, blah, 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 something which is similar to this one or this one. And then what I will do, when user click the submit button, I will call the action like this. I will call the action like this. The one which I created here, I will be putting it here. And when I call this action, it will go to the reducer. It will go to the action. Action will go to the reducer. Reducer will update the store, and we will get the variable in the store. So this is how the whole procedure goes. After store, after this, action is called. After action, reducer is called. After reducer, variables are stored in store.js, and all components will get updated with the new variables. So this is the procedure. All Redux is about this one. First we have to call store.dispatch. It will call action. Action will call reducer. Reducer will call store, and all variables will be component in the all variables will be updated in all components. So this is how you have to remember it. There is something extra thing in the Ajax call, which I will explain you in few days, not now. Ajax has some new learning things, which I will explain you later. So today we did action, yesterday we did reducer. Try to revise both the things, go through the video again and again, because this is a very important part. Whatever we do, we need to create action and reducer, always. So if you understand these two things, it will be very easy for you to build any new functionality. So every time when we do any new functionality, we will do this part and we will do this part. We'll do this part, we'll do this part, we'll do this part, we'll do this part for all the functionality. So these two are the core of the Redux, which we will do every time. And I already told you in the index.js, we call store.dispatch like this. But when we are in the components, we don't call like this. There is another way to call it, and that I will tell you tomorrow. So in components, dispatch is called in a different way, which I will tell you tomorrow, how to call dispatch. So if you're in the index.js, you can call dispatch with action like this. But if you're not in the index.js, you need to use the particular way, which I will tell you tomorrow how to use in the components. That's the new thing in the React. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a little complicated now because you are learning new thing. So in the beginning, you will feel little difficult or complex. But when we do many things similar to this, it will be very easy for you. So after a few days, after 15 days, when we have done a lot of these things, like these two things, you will feel very easy. Right now, I haven't completed the one whole round of the process, what we are trying to do. After that, we will be doing again and again same thing. We'll be building lot of things similar to this one. Then it will be very easy for you to do the new things in the React. Right now, just try to do overall thing what we can do with the React, and after we are done, we will do again and again same thing to make it perfect. And once we do 10-15 times, you will feel very easy, and it will be not very difficult. First time when I did also, I feel very complicated, and I was thinking what I am doing, why I'm putting it here, why I'm putting it here, why I'm putting this. So it was a lot of time I was feeling something odd, and then I realized it's very fun to do all the things. We are doing food donation website, but for practice we will be let's say if I explain some Ajax related thing, I will be doing small projects also in between for you to understand how the Ajax work in the Redux. So it's not that we are doing food donation, that means we will be doing food donation all the time. There will be, to learn the Ajax call, I will be giving you another small project which will be different, which will be not food donation, but to understand the Ajax part, we will do small project in between, 1 or 2 day project, which will help you to understand how the Ajax works. So that's it for today. Any questions?